the outlier, right? Another way that I can handle it is that I can completely remove it. That is to say, anyways, like majority of my data is in this section, and if rest of the part is not really contributing, I can straight away just remove it, right? So that is another. So this is like a very basic. We can use describe and info, and this is for correlation, right? This is all basic summary that you can get. And this is a box plot, which is basically will give you quantile ranges and also help you detect the outliers, visually. Then this one is a candlestick which will cover, and scatter plot is again for majorly it will help you with the correlation, right? So there's that. So there's that. Let's start. Okay. So there's that. Let's start. Okay. So there's that. These are the models that we'll be using. Let's start. Okay. So there's that. So let's just run this one. All right. Just tell me if it's running for all of you. Like if it's not running, then you have to like do a pip install. All right. So just tell me if it's running for you guys. All right. All right. So now this is like a little bit about the data. All right. So data is basically a currency pair data that I have selected. It's a small data set for now. Uh, Now, what is this currency pair data set basically is? It's USD and Japanese yen, okay? So it's basically how many Japanese yen do I need to get one US dollar, right? So, like, say for one USD, you have to give 144 Japanese yens, or how to get one USD, you have to give 83 rupees, Indian rupees, right? That's like the way you can understand it. So now, why did I select like specifically Japanese yen and this? It's because this data changes. Like obviously everything else also changes, like other currency pairs, but this one is like highly, volatile as it's mentioned. And what I mean by volatile is it changed like, as I was working on this 2 days back, it was like 150s, which is in this data, and now it's like dropped to, I guess, 110s and something. So like it changes, right? It's very quickly and it changes very quickly. So now I have some parts, okay? Data collection. There are certain ways that you can get the data. This is one of them. This is like using API calls, right? So the way that I got the data is through this Tingo. All right. I signed up and made an account. It gave me an API key, right? And basically, what you do is you specify the URL path, right? And you set your API key here, and whatever currency pair or whatever firm, like I'll show you one more example, right? So you send this, and then using the requests module that we imported, right? It has this dot get URL. So basically, in your HTTP, you have certain responses that you get, right? So we want, for now, I'll just keep it short. That is, your response should be 200, right? That is a successful connection, right? You can get the response. That's a successful response. So if it's 200, I'll start. It returns a JSON format file, right? And JSON is nothing but a dictionary, as simple as that. It's a dictionary, and I'll be just reading that JSON dictionary as whatever you want to call it. For now, JSON, right? And then I'll just convert it into a data frame. All right, till here it's clear what we did. All right. So we just converted it to a data frame, and we are saving it, right? That's the file that I sent you. Here you can see this is the currency data.csv. Next step is another, you know, way, that is, again, it's the same thing. So what I want to do now is it's the same exact thing. I'm just creating another data set to work with. So let's just run this one. All right, and this cell. All right, is it running for you guys? I mean, I guess. All right, all right, nice. That's good. Basically, now this data and the data that I sent you, this one is like, I guess, yeah, this one is from 2019, right? It starts from 2019, and basically it's like there are 1700 datas rows. So yeah, you can actually change this to like check other, like I'm going to check for Apple, right? Apple has AAPL. So let me just run this again. And yeah, you can also try that. So this is like the Apple data. So you have these columns, right? You have date, close, high, low, open, and volume, and all of the other adjusted close highs and everything. So we'll come to that when we are going to plot the graphs as to what are these columns, because one of the main things that you need to understand is this is a, you know, finance or like stock data that we are working with. This is one domain of data that we are looking at, right? There can be multiple datas, like in medical field you will have different fields and features to work with. In, you know, market, like social media, you'll have different features to work with. So basically what the idea is, you should have the domain knowledge, or like at least basic knowledge of the field that you're going to perform the analytics on, right? You get that? Like a quick thumbs up or something, please. Thank you. So what I want you to know is that these columns, right, that we have, close, high, low, open, these are nothing but like your, you know, in the market, like it's the value. Okay, it's the price. All of these numbers are the price. Basically, we are looking at Apple's stock, right? So what are we basically doing is that, okay, certain at this time, the closing price was this much. The highest price that it went was 158.85. Lowest price that it was sold was 154. And it started. Open is when we started that part, right? That trade. At that point, it was 154, right? So this is the basic understanding that we'll have. So this is one way, right? Another is through web scraping. Like a simple part is like you can have included what ESPN cricket info, right? I like IPL and stuff, so like you can just try running this. It says response 200, so it's working. You can go, like this is just to show you, like, you know, how Beautiful Soup accesses the HTML page, and then you can just straight up get the table and convert it into another data frame. Like this is very short. You'll, I guess, get another web scraping tutorial. So in that it will be in detail how that is working. But this is like a basic work, okay? So can you just tell me if it's working for you? All right, Sajat, Mohit, Likhit. All right, all right. So This is like now this table, this data set that we have, it has different columns, right? Different features. So it can be a whole different data analysis that we can perform, right? So let's get on with this one, right? So did you upload the currency data CSV like in the file section? Okay. So yeah, you can try running this. It's running. Okay. So like you can see the difference right now. That is, it doesn't have the adjusted columns and the volume. So it's like limited features that we have kept. So we just have open, high, low, and close, and the dates. Right. Now, thing is, this ticker column that I got, right? Ticker is nothing but like for Tango, it uses that to identify what stock or what currency pair are you looking at. So this will be like all the rows are filled with this USD JPY. I don't really need it. So I'll just remove this one using dot drop and I'll mention the axis, right? That it's a column. All right. And we can check for the null values. You can run these code snippets. All right. So we have no null values, so we don't really have to look into anything. Now, for a statistical overview, you guys know that describe is there, right? So you can run this and get a statistical overview. You can see that mean value is this much. It has changed, right? So it has dropped rather. So that is what I meant when I was telling you, okay, this specific currency pair, it has a, you know, volatile nature. So from this describe, you get a basic understanding, okay, maximum is this, and this is my 75th quartile and everything, right? Did that work for you guys? All right. So let's just get to, you know, now what I really want to do is I just want to see the variance, right? Variance in the sense I want to check how much my columns have the variance value as. So I'll just drop the date column because again, like it won't be helpful. I just want these four. So what I'll do is now here I'll go plt.figure size, right? We are just it's a frame, right? It's a frame. Simple as that. It's a frame size that I'm setting for my plot. Then it's a plot title, and then here what I'm doing is uh, normally when you plot, you won't really get the values like you know you won't get exact numeric value at the top of the bar. Here we are going for a bar plot, bar graph. So you won't really get the values like what is that peak value or what is the reading it's showing me, right? So what I'm going to do here is that sns.bar plot, I'll specify the data is my data frame 2 that I just created, and I'll apply the variance function, right? And I'll store this in this plot object or variable, however you want it. So now what is there is I'm saying for bar in plot.patches. What this means is for each individual bar, right? Like I hope you guys can have the intuition that if I plot this, I'm going to have four bar graphs, like four bars in my plot. Is that clear, right? Or no? All right. So now what this bar will have is each individual columns plot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say plot dot annotate, right? And in that annotate, I'm going to use this format function, which is nothing but I'll say, okay, bar will get the, I'm using get height function, which will give me the height of the that bar, that specific bar that I'm going to, use, and this is the accuracy specifier. All right, and then we just have bar dot get x and get width. It's basically for aligning that numeric value. All right, we are annotating so that numeric value will align it, at the middle. And then this is the horizontal and vertical axes that we are just specifying key, just assigning them to be at the center. And then you're just specifying the text size and again XY alignment and offset points. So we can try running it. And yeah, so this is the variance plot. Like, it's basically to show that how you can annotate and how you can just see, various statistical parameters that you're looking at visually, right? Is it running for you guys? All right, Mohit. All right. Everyone else? Hmm. All right. So like you can try playing around with it, changing some parameters you can try. So yeah. Next up we have data visualization, right? So basically now what I want to try is I want to plot the low column and see how it's varying, right? That's like what I want to do. So let's just run this. And what I get here is like how it's varying. All right. Like notice how x-axis is not dates here. It's basically we're just kind of getting the intervals. We have set the intervals to be at 25, and that is how we are plotting this. All right. We are not using Seaborn here, right? Dot plot is from matplotlib. This is one way to get the line plot, right? Next we have is high trend, right? Basically the high column I will be using, and basically the same plot I'll be doing to see how this column is varying. So you can say, okay, like remember, like from describe, we know that minimum value of high is 153.75 and low is 153.6, all of that. So you can just sort of notice all of that here, right? So this will give you like visual result of your columns right here. Like this is a scatter plot now, right? What you do is you do plot, it will ask you the kind of plot you want, right? And you can specify the kind of plot. Like if I want to do some other plot, right? So I can mention that here and then mention the columns and set the parameters, and that's it. Right? This is like nicely correlated data. Okay. Like how I can tell this is from the plot. Basically there's a break, but it's like highly correlated data. The points are really close by and I can just see that here. Now this is for open trend, right? What I'm doing is I'm using date column now instead of specifying intervals. All right. So these are like the basic trends that you can do. Like we have four columns and date if you want. So you can just try using all of that and just to see like how, you know, these are varying with each other. So if you use two variables against one another, that is your bivariate analysis, right? And if it's just single variable, like here we are just going with the high and low, that is your univariate analysis. So that's there. And like you can also plot the same here with the, this is a histogram, right? Histogram is basically your, bar graph, but like you're accumulating it. So here I've mentioned number of bins. All right. Now what this does is it tells you a trend, right? Just tell me if it's running for you. All right, Mohit. All right. So what I want you to notice here is like how around 154 mark the frequency is highest, right? Second highest is around 154.75. So you can basically get an idea that out of say how many records that we have, 170 something we had, right? So out of those, 30 something are 154 in open category, and 154 we have around 25 plus data, right? It helps you gain that understanding. Then for close trend, again you can plot another histogram. This one is plotted using Seaborn, right? This one was using the plot function in Matplotlib, and this is for Seaborn. All right. And then you can also plot another scatter plot showcasing the correlation between close and low, right? And now here what I want to do is I want to plot a correlation heat map. So basically what I mean by that is I want to see how like what I'll do here is I'll try to basically the same thing actually what's written here, but I'll just show you what I want to do is right. Like I'll try to run this. Now you see, this is a correlation matrix that I have now. Sort of like, you know, is it? You can try running this, type it out and run this, and tell me if it's working. Is it working for you guys? All right, Abhilash. Oh, sorry. I'll just share it again. All right. Uh, others is working. All right, Mohit. All right. So now what I want is like, okay, like, if I'm working with the data, I just know, okay, I can look at all this open versus high. It's 0.99. It's highly correlated. So what I want to do is I'll plot this same thing. So I'll run this and yeah, like this is visually appealing, right? You can basically just, it's readable, it's visually appealing. You can just see, okay. And here you have this axis, which will tell you, okay, if it's like, around one, it will be very like, see, it's red. If it's very less correlated, it will be blue. In this, although like every column is very highly correlated, how do I say that is because it's like 0.99, right? It's a very close to one, and it's very high value. It's a very high value because say for other data sets or other metrics, at times your correlation comes out to be something like zero point 0.5 or 0.04, 0.003, like very less values you can get at times. All right, even it can go to negative, like, okay, no, it's, negatively correlated. All right. So here, plotting candlesticks. Okay. So candlestick is nothing but like a way to represent your, you know, price or your trend in the market. Like right now we are doing this for, what do you say, a currency pair, right? So what you would like to know is that okay, my price opened at 100, let's just say. Okay, and if it opens at 100 and the highest that it went was 105, okay, and the low is basically the lowest price, all right. The lowest price it went was 95 and then it closed at 102. So what this tells you is like here, so it was 100, right? 100 is here, let's just say. It opens here, it increases till this high price, which was what, 105. And then, like, okay, like this is one purchase, let's just say 105, and opening is this. Close price was 102, and lowest that it went was 95. So that way you can just know, all right, these are my prices, these are when this was the price, this happened like that. Okay. So what I want to do now is, this is your plotly, okay? This candlestick figure that we'll be plotting is using plotly. So what I did is I imported it as GPH. So GPH dot figure. All right. Then I'll again mention data. That is a common theme, right? In C1 also you have to mention the data source. Here I'm mentioning the data, then I'm going like, okay, GPH dot candlestick, right? And I'm just mentioning my x-axis as this, and I'm mentioning the parameters, right? Open, high, low, and close. All of that is clear, right? You can like give a thumbs up or something. Hello. So yeah, and then this is nothing but another figure layout that we are giving, okay? And range slider, let's just plot this once. Is it working for you guys?
Ashwin,
Yeah.
actually, it's showing that name currency underscore pair is not defined for us.
Oh, so what you can do is, like at the top, I guess, mm, or even there, let's just do one thing, right? Uh, Here you can enter currency. You can define this variable as currency pair equals and a string variable, all right? USD JPY. You can do this, and now you can try running it if it's working. Is it working now?
Yeah, it's working.
All right. So now what I want you to see here is, this data is from what, 12 to your 2 hour frame, right? So actually 4 hour, yeah. So this range slider that we enabled here, okay, we can actually select the range of interval that we want to see. So here now see, you can hover over it and you can get the price details, right? That May 16 at this particular time, this was the value. And here you can see, right? Now this is like the main like procedure, like the candlestick charts, they are basically the main source of, like, they do a lot of analysis on investing, right? So basically they look at this chart, they try to predict how it will go. So this is basic of it, right? It's like just plotting that graph, and from here like you can see some trends, right? Like here it's going down, right? So overall value is going down, and some greens are there that is like overall value increases from the previous, right? So let's just say this is the starting point, right? And this is the end point. So overall, my price increased, right? Price increased in the sense is we were looking at the currency pair. So the amount of Japanese yen needed to get 1 USD increased. That's my finding from this plot. Okay, is that clear? All right. So very quickly we can just try plotting another plot, which is open high low close. It's nothing but just the parameters, right? We have these parameters here, open high low close. So just that we are plotting, nothing really changes here. Is that working? All right, Mohit. Anyone else? For everyone else it's working, right? All right, I'll just now, like, for box plot, right, we can directly just go with a simple box plot like this, right? What this tells you is that this will be a highest value, sorry, my bad, lowest values. All right, and this end you'll have the highest value, then these three lines, okay, this and this will be your quartile ranges. So you'll have 25th quartile, you have 50th and 75th, and this will basically help you divide the data and just see how much, you know, it's varying. That's the basic. Now what I want you to do is uh, this is your data profiling. Data profiling is basically a good way of getting the summary, or you know it helps you basically get the whatever we did, right? This line plots, bar plots, and everything. It helps you get a nice overview directly. So let's just try running this. All right. For me, it's already satisfied because I installed it, and basically it should be installed if on your system it's not there, right? Then you can try running this and run this report cell, and it will generate a summarized view of your data set that we have. All right. Did it work? Like, it got installed if it was not? All right. All right. So here we have the overview, right? Like, we have 172 records, we have 5 variables, right? No missing values, no duplicates. Here you have the date column, right? You can actually see every column here. All right. It's giving you the frequency distribution here actually, this side. And you can see the distinct value and maximum, minimum, everything it can give you, right? The complete summary of it. And you can specifically select a column here. Let's just say I want to see high column. It will give me the high column. It says high correlation, right? High correlation is basically, as I was saying, that actually normally we don't have that high of a correlation, but it's good that we have it, but it's basically very rare to get that. That's the thing. All right. So we can see more details. All right. In more details, you have the statistical summary. We have quantile statistics, right? As I was telling you, that 50th, 25th, and 75th, right? Interquartile range you can get. Descriptive statistics, like when we use the describe method, we had the mean, standard deviation, all of that. You can get that here. Then you can also get the histograms. You can get common values, extreme values, all of this you can get here, right? So this is one way to like generate a good summary. Like see here, you again have that scatter plot, right? You can select the, you know, columns and it will give you that. Like if I go high and high, that will be obviously overlap because it's the same thing. It will have the correlation of one, right? All of this you can do here. Missing values, we don't have any missing values, so that's good. And yeah, this is basically showing us the data rows and stuff. All right, so that's it basically. And for you, I have this question, right? Like this is a simple question that I have. Uh, Suppose you're a data analyst at some retail works, right? Now, what you want is that your manager, he asks you that, I'm giving you this data set, right? It has this transaction details, customer information, product information, everything, right? And he wants you to analyze this data and provide some points, some insights, so that, the business of the company can improve. So, what I want you guys to tell me is what all can you include? Like, what all can be your analysis points here? Can you list some? Like, you can send in the chat what you feel, like how we analyze the prices right here for US dollar and Japanese yen that way. Can you like list something? Like, you have transaction details, right? You can go like, okay, I can have the analysis of, quantity and price and say which how much quantity is being bought, or I have customer information, right? I can do a customer analysis. Hmm? That's there. And I also have product and marketing campaign data. So what I can do is I can maybe get both of these together and perform certain analysis. I can maybe train a model so that the customers that are there, I can have a straight recommendation to them. I can train such a model, right? So that is the, and yeah, this is basically the need, right? Like again, EDA basically you need it to, you know, get a better understanding, right? Better understanding of the data. You need it because after you perform visualizations and statistical analysis, you can basically, it helps you in making better decisions. It helps you take better decisions, right? And it makes it easier to basically look at the data because not everyone can look at a CSV file or a JSON and just figure out what it is telling them, right? So, as a data analyst or as a data engineer, right, you'll have to work with data and you'll have to, you know, find out these patterns. You have to find out certain features that you can use or create features that you believe will help in better analysis and better model training of whatever data that you're working with, right? So that is there. And yeah, That's it basically. One thing that I'd like to ask you is, you know, there will be an assignment, right, over this data analysis part. So what I'm planning is I'll give you a different data set, like not the stock data, but a different data set, something else. Or like if you guys want, I can, you know, leave it up like you can either use web scrape or some API. Which way do you feel that you'll like to do it? You know, like a direct CSV file, a data set, or a web scraping task included in the assignment. That's what I'm asking. You'll have to perform the EDA though on that. So yeah, can you like give a response in the chat? Anyone? All right, all right. Hmm. Okay, so I'll see to that. Uh, there's just few, I guess, little things that I would like to share, like you know, apart from just the coding aspect of the analysis, I'd like to go over this little thing here. Is it visible? All right. So basically here it's like, we went over all the analysis, we did it, but like what's really the point, right? So at the start I asked you guys, you told me, to predict. We analyze so that we can predict and train a model, and that model will help us, predict more stuff, right? So EDA as a whole, what I want you to know is it's a descriptive analysis actually. All right, what I mean by descriptive is we did statistical analysis, we visualized the data, and we summarized it, right? That is your description. It's like you describe a thing and that's it. You are not doing anything extra. So EDA is basically in descriptive category, right? Then you have a prescriptive or a predictive type of analysis where you will analyze the data, right? And based on the analysis, you train a model, right? You train a model, say you have this data here, and I train a model, right? And supposingly my actual values are the blue values, right? And my model is the orange values. So I see, okay, it's performing like it's predicting these values. It's somewhere not accurate here, like that, right? So again, we'll train the model and try that it fits better, it gives me better accuracy, all of that, right? And another thing to note is that the analysis that we perform is on historical data. Now, what I mean by historical data is that the data that you will have is from the past, right? It won't be live data that you will be getting. Obviously, there are data streaming and everything that you know you can do. It's not here right now, but you know you can create a pipeline, data streaming pipeline, and you can get live data, but that's hard to work with. So historical data, right? So like even now we had old data, right? We had old data for the prices, and based on that we analyzed stuff. So can we get all of the information from that? Basically no, because you really cannot predict with 100% accuracy that okay, this way it will change. And stock market and forex, all of this is a field where it's really up to this analysis, which are not highly accurate, but it tries to feed in on the data, previous data, and try to predict the trend in the market. And that's what all these traders try to do. They try to make a good model, or like try to do the analysis such that they can predict the trend and invest accordingly. So there's that. And now a little cycle that I'll tell you. ETL cycle. It's like good to know this. So what you do is there are two parts, okay? There is online transactional processing system, which is nothing but like the user end, right? User interact with this, user fill out the forms, or they do certain things which gives you the data, and that data you extract, right? You extract that data, and basically what you do is you store it. You store that here in another database or anything that you want to store it in. Then you perform data cleaning, transform the data basically, right? And after collecting, processing, cleaning the data, you load it. Load in the sense you store it basically in the database. You load it into a database or anything where you store it, and then on that clean data set you perform the analysis. So there is like a lot of processes before getting to this analysis part, right? And basically a majority chunk of time goes into data cleaning and pre-processing it, so that while you're analyzing it, you don't have to really worry about handling with wrong data or bad data, right? Because while analyzing, you want the data to be in the way that you want it. Like obviously you can manipulate the data however you want, but you try to do that before perform the analysis, right? During the analysis you can find certain trends for certain stats that you can work on. Like you can remove certain records, or you can add more so that you get a better result. So this is basically the small cycle, OLTP and OLAP, right? So, and basically in OLAP you get the ETL, extract, transform, and load. It's a good to know because ETL is basically essential part of getting to analysis. And basically this is like a visual representation of your analysis cycle, right? You collect the data, you clean and transform it, you store it, you perform analysis on it, probably statistical analysis or something. Then you visualize it, and then you report the data, right? Like a simple example that we can, take is here, right? Uh, Basically, this example is suppose you're, in the college and they ask you to analyze the placement records of the college from say 2013 to, you know, 2024 Feb. Let's just say that you have data till here. So you're performing this analysis in May. Okay. So they're like, you know, try giving us the trend in placements. So now there are certain parameters and certain metrics that you can choose to analyze the data on. Like you can say which field or which domain had the most placement, right? Straight up you can go with that. And then you can go like, okay, let's just see year wise trend. Like year wise, how many students were placed, in what domain were they placed, right? Like software developer, IoT, data engineer, right? You can go with aggregate comparison, which is basically you compare, did SDE have maximum number of placements across the years, or was it data engineer, right? Like that. Then you can also analyze the student section, which is basically, you know, if a certain student is placed, was it majority due to their CGPA? Was it, internship or projects or their branch? Or did they have any specialization? All of that you can take into account, visualize it, right? And show to the team and go like, yeah, these are the trends and we can do this or that. You can suggest basically. That's the main goal of performing the EDA or your data analysis, that you give out suggestions, you give out findings at the end of the analysis, that this is what I found, this is the trend, and we can do this to improve on this, or we can cut this out so that it will be better, right? Now, like, basically, next segment will be on your data science or machine learning, where you will learn machine learning algorithms and stuff. So there also you'll have to follow these practices of cleaning the data and basically just, you know, getting the statistical overview before training the model, right? So yeah, that's it. I'll be giving out the assignment by tomorrow, I guess, and like tomorrow evening you can expect the assignment to come in, and you'll have till, I guess, mm, Tuesday afternoon to submit it. All right. So yeah, that's it for the session. You guys can leave.